Hey everyone, this is Cleofy again from the YouTube channel Cleofy Podcast. Hey ChatGPT, do you know that Kaaba's design aligns with the golden ratio?
Hey Cleofy, the mathematical miracle of the Kaaba and Quran will shock you. It is a profound, divinely orchestrated connection between the golden ratio and Islamic concepts. I think let's connect with your deep dive experts, Jack and Wilson.
Okay, let's unpack this. So imagine there's this number, right? Kind of mysterious. Artists like Da Vinci, scientists like Kepler, they were apparently obsessed with it. It's called the golden ratio. Now, what if, and this is the core of our sources today, what if this number has some kind of profound link to the Kaaba and even numerical patterns in the Quran?
Yeah, so for this deep dive, we've got source material making some, well, pretty incredible claims, shocking even, according to them. They connect this most mysterious number in math, the devine ratio, they call it, to where the Kaaba is geographically its original design, specific numbers in the Quran. So our mission here is really to explore these claims just as the source presents them and see what fascinating data pops up. Get ready to explore claims of a hidden code of Allah, a miracle, they say, that will shock history. Right, so first things first, what actually is this golden ratio? Our source defines it as 1.618. And yeah, it calls it the most mysterious number in math. And historically, it seems it was a big deal. People like Leonardo da Vinci, the mathematician Luca Pacioli.
They apparently called it the divine ratio, studied it a lot. Da Vinci, the source says, even invented the first tool to measure it and used it in his paintings for, balance and beauty.
Exactly. And what's really interesting, looking at the source material, is how far it claims this goes beyond just art. You mentioned Kepler, the astronomer. Well, he reportedly found it in the elliptical orbits of planets. And the source points to it showing up all over in nature, in things we find, well, beautiful and balanced. Plants, animals, even non-living structures.
How so? Like where specifically?
Through things like symmetry, the way light reflects, and very notably in how plant leaves are arranged on a stem. That pattern, it's called phyllotaxis. The source suggests this points to a kind of hidden design principle in the universe. And get this, back in 1989, Professor Paul Davies apparently found a connection between the golden ratio and spinning black holes, something about their heat and energy systems. I mean, there are thousands of articles, books written about its appearance in, both art and science. It's definitely captured attention.
Okay, so bringing that to today. The source says lots of modern things are designed using it, like LED TVs, the 16:9 format, credit cards, buildings, products. Is that right?
That's what the source claims, yeah. The reason given is simply that designs based on it tend to look the most pleasing, the most balanced to the human eye, which brings us to the math behind it. And a really significant claim the source makes about how it links to the number one. It talks about Fibonacci, the mathematician. He introduced modern numbers to Europe, studied with Muslim scientists, apparently. Well, his famous number pattern, the sequence starting with 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, it naturally leads to the golden ratio. And the source argues this pattern carries signs about how all creation begins from one.
From one.
Yeah. And it highlights that the number one, Wahid, in Arabic, is one of the most important names for the creator in the Quran.
So what does this all mean for its connection to the number one, mathematically speaking?
Well, the source points out some pretty unique mathematical properties. It says if you add the number one and its repeated fractions in a specific way, it creates the golden ratio. Sort of building from one. Also, there's this pattern with square roots. If you take the square root of 1 plus the square root of 1 plus, going on infinitely, that also gives you the golden ratio.
Huh, that's specific.
It is.
Yeah.
And here's the part the source really emphasizes. To get the square of the golden ratio, you just add 1 to it. To get its inverse, its reciprocal, you just subtract 1. Apparently, no other number in math works quite like that. It makes it unique, mathematically speaking, tied intrinsically to this idea of 1.
Okay, that's interesting. And the source says this number even shows up on a grander scale, like Earth and Moon design.
That's the claim, yes. Specifically, it says if you consider the Earth's radius as 1 unit, right, and you imagine the Earth and Moon placed together, the distance between their centers, according to the source, gives you the square root of the golden ratio.
The square root of it.
Yes. And then the other side of the triangle that forms, that also gives the golden ratio itself. That's the assertion.
Wow. Okay, bringing it back down to Earth, or rather to us. What about beauty? Our perception of it? The source mentioned something pretty strong there.
It really does. It dives right into our human experience. It talks about a 25-year study on beauty. And the conclusion cited is that faces and bodies designed using the golden ratio were, and I quote, always seen as beautiful and well-balanced by everyone.
Always. By everyone. That's a bold claim.
It is. And the source argues that if you change basic facial ratios away from 1.618, the face starts to look less beautiful, less natural. It describes it as this measurement written deep into our nature. A code, essentially, that holds the secret of beauty and love, created, the source says, by the one Al-Wahid 1.618.
So when we look at someone and think, maybe unconsciously, oh, their mouth is a bit too wide or their face seems too long, the source suggests we're actually comparing it against this built-in code. Right. So if this number is supposedly so fundamental, where on earth is its focal point? The source asks, is it Rome, Paris, New York, or maybe Makkah, which the Quran calls the mother of cities, the holiest place?
This is where the claims get, well, really geographically specific and quite astonishing, according to the source. It flat out asserts that Makkah is the Earth's golden ratio point. It backs this up with several measurements. For instance, the distance from Makkah to the North Pole compared to the distance from Makkah to the South Pole.
Yeah.
That ratio is claimed to be exactly 1.618, the golden ratio. And also, the ratio of the distance from Makkah to the South Pole compared to the total distance between the North and South Poles. Also 1.618, according to the source.
Okay, that's using the poles. What about maps?
Even on the latitude and longitude map, the system we use globally today, the source claims the golden ratio point falls right in Makkah. It doesn't stop there. The distance from Makkah to the east and west solstice lines, or the day changes, that distance ratio also matches 1.618.
Solstice lines, like the tropics, or...
Yeah. The source refers to the lines marking the extent of the sun's path. Yeah. And then the distance from Makkah just to the west solstice line compared to the total length of that latitude. Again, 1.618 is the claim.
That's a lot of claimed alignments. What's really fascinating here, though, is the source says, even with the Earth not being a perfect sphere, different diameters, tectonic shifts, tides, all that, it claims the golden ratio point never leaves the borders of Makkah. It always stays within the sacred area, including the Kaaba.
That's precisely the assertion, that despite all these natural variations and changes over time, this mathematical point remains fixed within that sacred boundary. The source also adds some symbolic interpretations. Makkah being positioned to the right on maps, seen as positive in religious teachings, and towards the upper part of the earth, considered special. The argument presented is that Allah placed Prophet Adam in the most beautiful spot, made us love the golden ratio, showing the Creator loves it too, and used it for his most special creations. And crucially, the source stresses this holds true even using the modern latitude-longitude system, the one finalized in 1884, used by GPS. It presents this as proof of divine planning and destiny.
Okay, so from the Earth's geography to the Kaaba itself, the source brings up a potential issue. If the Kaaba is meant to fit the golden ratio, why is it a cube now? Doesn't that break the harmony?
Right. The source addresses that directly by looking at its history. It states that Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail rebuilt the Kaaba on original foundations. Foundations that, according to the source, go all the way back to the first human being. And these original foundations included a semicircular area.
Ah, the Hatim area.
Exactly, the Hatim. The source claims this was originally part of the Kaaba structure. And if you include the Hatim area, as it was meant to be, the base isn't a square. It forms a rectangle. The dimensions given are about 13.1 meters wide and 21.2 meters long.
Okay.
And the ratio of the length to the width, 21.2 divided by 13.1. It's 1.618, the golden ratio. Plus, it points out that 13 and 21 are consecutive numbers in that Fibonacci sequence we mentioned earlier, which the source says further supports this harmony.
And the construction itself.
Yeah, it mentions the simplicity. Ibrahim and Ismail supposedly just stacked stones, no mortar. One side had about 38 layers, the other 20. The source claims the ratio of 38 to 20. Well, it also gives the golden ratio.
But that brings up a big question, doesn't it? If that was the original intended design, why would the creator, in this view, allow part of it, the Hatim, to be, well, excluded later on? Why let history change it?
The source offers a specific theological reason for this change. It explains that way back, actually getting inside the Kaaba building was often restricted. Sometimes only the wealthy Arabs could go in.
Right, I see.
But now anyone, absolute anyone, can go and pray freely in the Hatim area. And since the Hatim is, according to this source, part of the original foundation, praying there means you're effectively praying inside the original Kaaba. So the change in this interpretation wasn't a breaking of harmony, but a divine allowance so that all people, rich or poor, could connect equally with that sacred space.
Okay, that's the architectural claim. Now, the source moves into what it calls numerical signs. From the Quran itself, the Quran has 114 surahs, chapters. Some are really long. The longest has 286 verses. How can numbers in the text supposedly align with real-world coordinates and things like that?
This is where the numerical analysis gets very intricate in the source material. It makes some really specific claims. For example, it calculates the odds. What's the chance that the very first verse in the Quran that mentions the Kaaba would happen to numerically match its real GPS coordinates?
And the odds are?
About 1 in 100,000, according to their calculation. Very low. Here's how they connect it. The Kaaba's latitude is 21 degrees, 25 minutes. In decimal form, that's 21.42.
Okay.
The first verse in the Quran mentioning the Kaaba is in Surah 2, verse 125. Then the source points to Surah 2, verse 142. That verse says, some foolish people will say, what turned them away from the Qibla they used to face, say east and west belong to Allah. He guides whom he wills to the straight path.
Okay, so the connection is?
The source highlights the numbers, latitude 21.42 and the verse number 142. A direct numerical correspondence is the claim. It goes further. There's another claim about a specific Quranic verse that contains 47 letters. If you take that number 47 and divide it by the golden ratio, 1.618, the result is about 29.
Okay, 29.
And the claim is, from the very beginning of that verse up to the word Makkah, within it, there are exactly 29 letters. The source is quite emphatic. If there were even one letter, more or less, the ratio wouldn't match. There was no manipulation. We simply counted the letters.
Precise.
Very precise. And then there's the nature of the golden ratio itself. It's digits, 1.6180339887. They go on forever. They never repeat, never end. You can never fully count them. The source links this infinite quality to a verse in the Quran, Surah 16, verse 18, which talks about counting Allah's blessings. If you try to count the blessings of Allah, you can never count them.
Ah, connecting the uncountability.
Exactly, presenting it as holding deep meaning for anyone searching for signs of truth. And one final detail from this section, using some specific calculations involving the number 0.33, don't ask me the details.
Okay.
The claim is that the 33rd letter of that same verse, Surah 16, verse 18, falls precisely in the middle of the word Allah, meaning the gold ratio point within the verse itself points directly to the name Allah. That's the assertion.
Right. Well, we've certainly journeyed through some extraordinary claims presented in this source material. What it describes as hidden, majestic claims about divine design, connecting this mathematical constant, 1.618, the golden ratio, to, well, everything from Earth geography, ancient buildings like the Kaaba, and even very specific letter counts in the Quran. We've tried to use science and reason, or at least an analytical lens, as our guides to unpack what the source is putting forward here.
Yeah, and if you try to sort of connect it all to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
what these sources are really presenting is this narrative of deeply interwoven design. It suggests that realms we usually think of as separate mathematics, the natural world, how we perceive beauty, religious texts, might actually share this profound, harmonious structure underneath it all. Definitely raises a huge question, doesn't it? What does it actually mean if numerical relationships this precise are claimed to exist across such different things?
It absolutely is something to ponder, isn't it? A really provocative thought, maybe to leave you, the listener, with. Is there actually some kind of hidden design, like the source suggests, woven into the fabric of everything around us, just waiting for us to find it through numbers and patterns?
Thank you for joining us for today's podcast. I hope you've gained some valuable insights. If you're a truth seeker, yearning for divine light and ready to step out of darkness, now is your moment. The truth is that Allah is the one and only creator of the universe. He has sent over 124,000 messengers and prophets to guide humanity, starting with Adam and culminating with the final messenger, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon them all. If you resonate with this message, you might be ready to embrace Islam. Simply recite the Shahada, the Islamic declaration of faith. For further support, feel free to join our WhatsApp group. You can send us a private message there. The link is in the video description. Don't wait until it's too late. We look forward to connecting with you soon.